show.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Is that true?
No, that's not true.
I believe that.
It certainly doesn't make any sense.
No, I don't drink very much.
You don't drink at all?
No, hardly ever.
So what happened?
Well, a lot of times people like on stage will think that I'm drunk. Like I often get that.
Right.
People go, "Hey man, you're wasted."
You're like Cheech and Chong. They weren't really high. They just acted like they were high.
Really?
Right.
I think one of them was.
Which one?
Everybody in the college where I went, everybody was drunk. Like they were all drinking beer in a beer tent since noon.
Yeah.
And then I went on. And then sometimes my shows go real bad.
Right. And you like that.
I don't like.
I read
care.
an interview where you said you like the audience to hate you.
No, I didn't. I said I don't care one way or the other.
Right. You just want to get paid.
Yeah, like if I do real well, then.
What does it cost to get you to show up at a college?
I think it's like 15,000 or something.
Wow. So like for an hour work, you get 15 grand.
Yeah.
That's nice money.
That's all right.
And what is the clause where you only have to be? How long do you have to be on stage before you can?
You gotta be on like an hour, something like that. So whatever they ask you, you know. So then I went on and I was everybody was drunk, you know.
Right.
And then sometimes I just talk about whatever I want to talk about that night.
Right. What were you talking about that night?
I was talking about them being drunk.
He said, "Hey, you guys are all drunks."
And you know how sometimes like you say to a drunk guy that he's drunk and he gets mad,
Belligerent.
and there's no, you're drunk.
Yeah.
So it was like that. They hated me, and then
They started throwing stuff at you.
yeah, and then I didn't want to leave because I didn't want to not get paid.
Right. So you stayed on for exactly 10 minutes because they would have to pay you if you stayed 10 minutes.
Right. No.
It's like you got
An
to go
hour.
3 rounds.
He
with the
stayed on
champ.
an hour.
You stayed on the full hour.
Well, I stayed on until they finally came up and said, "No, you can go." But
Really? It was that
funny 'cause
painful.
everyone's just screaming at you
Right.
the entire time, and then like the girl from the college would call me over, and I go, "What? What do you want?" And she'd go, "Do those jokes like you do on Letterman."
Yeah.
What are you
Oh, you have a
talking about?
college girl telling you what to do.
Yeah.
People are just screaming like obscenities. You can't go.
Were they
like,
throwing things at you?
They were throwing things, so you can't do an act. You can't go like, "Does anyone have an answering machine?"
So did you get paid for that night?
I didn't get paid.
You didn't.
Oh.
Now you suing them?
I don't know if I will.
You can't decide.
Yeah,
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, maybe I will.
Well, we had a guy who called in who said he opened for you.
Oh,
He
yeah,
said
yeah.
the audience was fine and that he did
Oh,
fine.
he did great. The opening guy they love.
Yeah, he said he's like some DJ up in Hartford, and he's doing great. He said, and then they paid him to go back out and
Paid him extra money.
paid him extra money to go take over after they threw you out.
Yeah, he did great. The guy before me was doing really.
And you're a professional comedian. I mean, you're at the top. I mean, I can't imagine what went wrong.
happened?
No, sometimes I'm really nobody likes me. Sometimes they like me, and sometimes they don't.
Because you're kind of odd and quirky.
What?
You're kind of odd and quirky.
I wouldn't say that.
What were you saying to them, Norm?
I was just talking about. They were all drunk, so I decided.
You should have farted. That's funny.
I decided I'd just talk about drinking, and I don't know. I don't have like. Sometimes people get like, because when I do my live act, sometimes people see me from the news.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about the news. You know?
They want you to do the news.
They want you to be top of
They
the
expect me to be like Dennis Miller or something where I know stuff.
Or maybe rant about the news.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Instead, I'm just talking, and then they go, "What?"
It's just fun to hear you talk. They got to get into it.
Well, if they're drunk, maybe they can't.
That's right. Here's a guy who said he saw you on stage that night.
he did?
He saw you get booed off. Do you ever do a show where it's successful, or is it always
Oh, no,
it always ends
sometimes
up in?
it goes really good.
Really?
It's kind of funny when like they hate you because all you're trying to do is make them laugh.
It's
right?
funny, yeah.
And this one guy, when he's walking out, he said, "I am going to kill you." Why would a guy be so mad at
Hey,
that?
Keith, you're on the air.
Hey, Howard, what's going on?
Hey, man.
Norm, what's wrong with you?
Oh, that's a.
You got problems, man?
Yeah, I got
Yo,
problems.
number one, he was so toasted.
Yeah.
I mean, he went from saying, "Oh, you know, you're all drunk."
Right.
Yeah.
He went into pot. He went
Yeah.
into saying, "Oh, who does pot?" Then he went into who does LSD.
Yeah.
And finally, he went into who's on the crack,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And the whole crowd goes silent.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like,
So you guys thought he was high, and he thought you were high.
but the crowd was awesome. I mean, the guy that went on before him did great.
Right.
It was a great evening.
So, Norm, you came out and you said,
Yeah,
who's
we're
on...
in complete agreement there, buddy.
Right.
You know?
You were like, who's on pot?
Yeah.
Who's drinking?
Yeah, I wanted to know what everybody was on. Like, 'cause everybody,
Sounds pretty funny to me.
Because everybody seemed to be on different stuff.
Right, and you want to know what you were dealing with.
Yeah.
You adjust your act depending on what they're on.
Exactly.
That's decent of you. And why were you curious? Is that why you were curious what they were on?
Yeah,
That's an important thing to you.
When people scream at me, I answer them. You know?
Right, right.
And so I talked to them about what, how the crack was there in Quinnipiac. And,
The crack.
so forth,
Crack, you always talk about crack. You love that.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so that must have been a great night. I wish I had been there to see that.
Yeah.
I really do. But there are nights you go out on stage and you have an act, right? I mean, you have things that you say.
I have a kind of a loose act. I don't have a good memory for stuff.
So maybe
So you just riff.
I riff.
You go out
I'm
there.
like Mork.
Right. No, but are you a stand-up comedian? Is that what you do?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Right.
That's how they bill him.
Right. And you have an act, right?
Yeah, I
Right.
got some
You haven't-
jokes, and then I think
Like, what's a joke that you tell? Like when you come out, like, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen," and then what do you say? What do you say after that?
I don't have specific jokes. I just talk about things I'm thinking about.
Every show is different.
Most of the shows are pretty different.
All ad-libbed.
No, not all ad lib.
So there's some set jokes.
Yeah, there are some set
All right, like
jokes.
what would be one of the jokes you would have told that night had they given you a chance?
Well, let me think now.
All right, yeah, give me one of them.
Okay.
You shouldn't have to think that hard. This is something you've done a bunch
is
of
your
times.
act.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
What? I guess I can't think of any.
You see, this is what must have been happened.
Oh.
Yeah, and you were lucky today because we've all been drinking. So.
I'm
on crack.
Yeah.
But I did tell some jokes that my dad used to tell me when I was a kid.
All right, well, there you go.
Yeah, and stuff.
All right. What was that?
What?
What was that joke?
The joke?
Yeah.
Oh, it was about Dirty Johnny. It was a joke.
It was
my
real
dad
dirty?
used to tell me.
You can't tell it on the air?
No, it was dirty.
It was too dirty. All right, well, there you work very blue. All right, Harry, you're on the air.
How you doing? Listen, I was there. I remember the joke he told. He took about 15 minutes to tell it.
Go ahead.
Why are you acting like half a crackhead anyway? But he was telling this joke. He says, a bum walks into a bar, and he goes to the bartender. He says, let me throw a dart at the dartboard. And the bartender's like, I can't let you do that. You're drunk.
Oh, yeah, that's a great joke.
Yeah, well, it took you like 15, 20 minutes to tell the damn thing.
Yeah, it is a long joke.
He was,
Well, what's wrong? You wanted an hour show.
You know how I was sitting right in the third row, right in front of the guy.
Yeah?
He was acting so twisted. He actually held onto the microphone stand at one point with a bottle of water in the other hand, and rather than letting the mic stand go for like 10 minutes, he held the bottle of water in his teeth trying to crack it open. Like he was just wasted beyond belief.
Oh, yeah, that bottle of water was hard to open.
And cleared half the place out in 10 minutes.
So you spent like 10 minutes trying to open a bottle of water on
Yeah,
stage?
there's a bottle of water that was hard to open.
But that's part of your jokes, right?
Yeah, that's part of my act.
Right.
Yeah.
I usually close with that.
I'd like to see a guy open a bottle with his teeth.
He got so fed up finally that some security guard came up and he was like, be funny. He was like, be funny. F you, suck my you know?
Oh, yeah, no, that's because the
That was about the highlight of the whole night.
The security guy goes, hey, I think he's going to tell me like something. He's the security guy, and he goes, why don't you try to be funny? He's like the security guy.
Yeah, well, it's not so easy.
Man, I tell you, I didn't understand it at all. I mean,
Yeah.
he had the place.
Norm, is it that you are
You had a
so...
good time, though, right, Harry?
Norm,
You had a good time, though, right, Harry?
Oh, well, I wasn't twisted or drunk like everybody else, so I was just waiting to see when somebody was going to, like, chuck a chair at your face.
So everybody was drunk.
Norm, is it like an Andy Kaufman bit? In other words, you
Yeah, I
want
thought
that
that
people will
was
be
the case.
talking about you forever, like because of this great night?
No.
No? Was that what was going on?
No, it was just a guy
Far
trying
from it. He had to be escorted off practically. He didn't even get introduced. He just kind of stumbled up onto the stage and stepped in front of the microphone. Nobody even realized he was standing there for a minute.
Wow.
know, that
All
was
right. Well, it
weird.
was a disastrous night, huh?
Oh, my God.
And what happens
It
after a
was
night like
kinda
that?
fun, though.
What do you do after a night like that? Do you just forget about it and go to sleep, or do you stay up at night going, God, I got to be better the next time I go out there?
Yeah, did you do any dates since then?
Yeah.
No, I think, I did some dates since then, yeah.
Yeah. How'd those go?
They went all right.
Yeah. Did you try to open the bottle of water again?
That's not a set piece in my act.
Jake, you're on the air.
Hey, Norm, this is Jackie. You can't tell Dirty Johnny jokes. They're mine.
All right, come on. Do you have a question for Norm? This is very serious. The guy's got a movie out.
Norm, how do you get Bob Saget to direct your movie?
Oh, yeah.
Comedy.
I know.
Now, I hear you're at war with Bob Saget. You weren't happy with the way he directed the movie. Is that true?
You heard.
Is that true? Are you happy with Bob?
No, I like Bob. I saw him before when I was.
Like Don Ohlmeyer.
I saw Saget when I was like 12 years old. He was the first like club comic I ever saw when I was a kid.
And he was very dirty, right?
Yeah, he was dirty.
Yeah, he's a
This
funny
was
club
before
comic.
his TV shows and stuff. And
funny shows.
So then after the show, yeah, but you know, a guy does things for paychecks, you know.
What's going on in your personal life? Are you married or not?
Yeah.
You're married.
Yeah.
And no